We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast in 2025. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, we're here for betting on the Bills for the final week of the NFL regular season. First episode in 2025. Took a couple pods off for the holidays. Great time to do so because, the Bills did demolish the Jets, right? We can sit here and talk about that for a second, but it's two games. They clinched the 2 seed last week, so this game coming up against the Patriots, the rematch of 2 weeks ago, truly means absolutely nothing. They can't get the 1 seed and they can't drop out of the 2 seed, so expect the expected and most of the starters to not be playing for extended periods of time to kind of give them, I guess, a rest because the 2 seed doesn't get bye weeks anymore. So I guess before we dive into this matchup, what are your thoughts on the 2 seed? And I was more optimistic going into the season than you were, I remember. But the Bills are sitting at the 2 seed in the AFC again after a retool year, quote unquote. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it definitely came with a little bit of surprise. I just kind of, here's what I'll say. I soured mostly on the Bills' offense as we got close to the season. More than their defense, because I was like, okay, when we saw what Poyer and Hyde were, Trey White, loved the guy to death, played like 5 games in like 2 years. I never that wasn't really that much of it was an emotional loss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm not going to lie, I soured a little bit on the Bills offense going into the season, not because I didn't believe in Josh Allen or Joe Brady, but I'm sorry, their wide receiver room, especially, with MVS struggling in training camp. Coleman is still pretty raw, but was very raw back then. You liked Shakir.
Yeah.
The offensive line had a big change if Mitch Morris not being the center and moving McGovern over. And all we heard in training camp were, oh man, some bad snaps from Connor McGovern. Knock on wood. I don't think we've seen one snap that was really bad. We've seen a couple that they might have been off a little bit on the snap count, which created some pressure, some penalties, but
yeah, nothing egregious from him by any means.
I think that's where I soured a little bit, and I'm not gonna say it was right because when they traded for Amari Cooper, he still has been banged up and hasn't mega produced, but I think his presence out there has been big, and I think after that Jets game, getting Cooper, while he hasn't produced as much as I think I would have expected, he's still making big plays in the X receiver role that they needed someone to make that they didn't have on their roster. So I think that's the big thing for me with this offense that took it to another level was adding a receiver like Cooper, because I still think they would have struggled at times if they didn't have him. Having a guy that could play that role, we still probably would have saw a lot of Matt Collins out there, and you don't really want Matt Collins in that role all the time. But yeah, that's right. But getting the 2 seed, I think, is massive.
Yeah.
Listen,
you have a home playoff run for the most part, right?
Yeah, it guarantees you at least 2 home games if you win, right? If you take care of the worst team in the playoffs in the AFC, you will play another home game, and that's massive. And it guarantees a possibility where if that 1 seed loses, you could host the AFC Championship game. Now, do I think that's likely? Probably not, to be honest with you. But I do think the Chiefs
going to
have a pretty good slate of probably playing the 4-5 winner, and that's a pretty winnable game for them. But again, it gives them at least the opportunity. And yeah, I'm surprised ever that they were 2. I'm surprised that they're 13-3. You kind of look at it and it's man, they win this game. I think 14 wins is the regular season record for the Bills.
Yeah.
So pretty wild for a team that I would have thought would have finished 10-7 was a wild card team. So I think it gets a credit to the coaching, and it's a credit to the MVP Josh Allen.
Yeah, and that's one thing I did want to mention, the MVP race, and I do think the Ravens and Lamar Jackson have had a phenomenal year. Josh Allen was also selected to the Pro Bowl. We didn't get to cover that news.
Starter
see.
too.
He's the starter. Yeah, we'll see if he's going to be golfing or not. Depending on, or in the Super Bowl, depends on. He's got
hopefully
3
one.
He's got 3 avenues. He's got 3 avenues to take down. But yeah, hopefully he's in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. But he's just Allen. no matter what, whether he wins MVP or not, because of the stats, whatever. I was watching Emmanuel Acho speak on it yesterday. I really, at this point, it's whoever's going to win, it's going to win it. But to see your team's quarterback rewriting history in a way, the way Josh Allen has, and just from his story in the beginning, a no-star prospect, just JUCO route, right? Like, just, I don't know, you got to give him a little bit of a round of applause, in my opinion. I mean, the guy's supernatural. And, instead of dragging down all these other quarterbacks, Joe Burrow has had a phenomenal season despite the record the Bengals have, right? Lamar Jackson has had a phenomenal season. Josh Allen's had a phenomenal season. Patrick Mahomes, minus everything, look at their record. They've lost one game. They might lose a second one because they might not play him, but who knows? But like we're living in a time where quarterbacks are playing at an all-time elite level regularly, and we get to watch that every week. So, whether Allen wins it or not, I'm still rooting for him to win it. He was my pick in the beginning of the season. And I think I did pick the Bills to go 12-5, so I was close. I was a little underneath, but they're at 13 wins right now, hopefully 14 even with the backups. But we're living in a great time of football, and I think it's getting lost in the sauce a little bit of the whole, the toxic MVP commentary between the fans. If you open up Twitter, it's all over the place. You've probably been looking at it too. So
yeah, I mean, it's just kind of out of control. I mean, listen, vote on how you want to vote. I don't really care. I don't care. I want Josh to win. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think he's deserving to win. And I think also in the same sentence you could say Lamar's deserving to win. Like, I don't think one candidate trumps the other by a lot. I think it's a very close margin. And I think Josh overcomes statistical difference with kind of the narrative on the supporting cast and the situation that he's in compared to Lamar and what you define as value. Like, I think Josh has been a little bit more valuable than Lamar. And I would say if we were doing offensive player of the year, like, I would have Lamar over Josh because I think Lamar's having a better offensive season than Josh. Mm-hmm. But I think when we talk about value, Josh is has been the most valuable player in the league, which is the MVP.
That's the name of the award. Yes, that would do it.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, I'm just hearing so many people that are like toxic on my Twitter feed, especially like Ravens fans. It's like, I don't want to hear all this. Like, I might just mute the MVP for a little bit, but listen, the odds are the odds, man. The odds give him a 70% chance of winning. It seems to me that, listen, Josh was behind, like, if you look at the Pro Bowl, it's 33% fan vote, 33% player vote, 33% coaches vote. And Josh was behind Lamar in the fan vote and still was the starter for the AFC. So that pretty much means that 66% of the coaches and player votes, Josh did better than Lamar, and that's why he's the starter. So, again, I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, I think Josh is still going to win, is looking like he's going to win it, and that's why I don't know, man. I don't know why there's a big argument. Listen, Lamar could go off, right? If Lamar goes off on Saturday and does some crazy stuff, like, sure, I think he could have a chance to maybe, get closer and maybe win it. But at the proper moment, Josh is a heavy favorite, and Vegas just kind of knows stuff. Like, I mean, it's Vegas, man. Like, they kind of have the backdoor information. So we'll see what happens.
Any sports betting market really knows. I mean, look at the presidential election results. It was all betting markets that pointed you in the direction that was going to go, right? So, I mean, it's crazy. There's the way the odds line up. Speaking of odds, this Bills Patriots matchup, though, while we get into it, as much of a nothing burger as it is, it's a good time to, Dom and I were talking before we started recording, highlight the backups that'll be playing. Like last week, Tyrell Shavers. I mean, Mitch Trubisky might have a case for MVP. He averaged 69 yards per attempt last week, so who knows? It could be interesting. But the Bills are 2.5-point favorites in most markets, even though it's pretty known that the starters won't be playing. I don't know what New England's going to be doing. I don't see a reason why Drake May and all those guys shouldn't be playing, especially if Gerard Mayo kind of wants to, hang on to that head coaching job. But, Dom, a backup Bills offense for however long it might be, Allen has to get that start streak, right? He wants to play. McDermott even acknowledged it, right? However long it might be, what do you think this Bills offense needs to do backups or starters to kind of just best the Patriots in the final outing of the season? Are they just going to be playing backyard football at this point, kind of hiding the playbook a little bit? What's going on?
I think it's interesting that they're 2.5-point favorites. I think it shows kind of the respect they have for Josh.
Yeah.
Because they were 14.5-point favorites at home. All right, take a couple points. Let's just say they take 2 points off, because I don't think they do 3 anymore. I think that's been kind of known that they don't do 3 anymore. So it's pretty much a 10-point difference. And yeah, sure, if you want to take like some of the Bills not playing the starters, but Josh is probably worth close to 10 points in the betting market, which is kind of insane. I don't know what the Patriots are doing. I think they should sit Drake. Some people can say, okay, it could be good for Drake May's development to play another game. I don't necessarily disagree if he was like Anthony Richardson or Trey Lance and he just didn't have reps. Like, this dude played a lot in college.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, like, I'm not saying they're going to tank the game, like, inside the game, but, like, organizationally, tank the game. Like, you're the number one pick. Like, why?
Take the pick.
Why are you trying to win? Like, oh my God. Like, they get followed to, like, the 4th pick. It's like, dudes, tank the game and then just trade back to the 4th pick and you still get a good player. You're not going to pick a quarterback. Get one of these quarterback teams to come up and take your pick, and you get more picks. You need more players. Like I'm sorry. Like that's my rant. And the only reason why they're not doing that is because Gerard Mayo still thinks he's going to get fired and thinks he's coaching for his job, which is not wrong because he sucks at coaching. But back to your original point, the offense. 1, Josh Allen stays healthy. I don't care. He's out there for 1 drive. I would prefer he's just out there for 1 snap. I don't know what they're going to do, but stay healthy, Josh.
Yes.
2, James Cook. Get over 1,000 yards. He is 19 yards away, 90
He's close.
After that, get the hell out of the game. Also, he got stumped from the Pro Bowl. That was bad.
He did. And he even acknowledged it, too. He was a little peeved.
It's crazy. You know, I know we're kind of all over the place, but I did want to mention that, and I forgot about the Pro Bowl thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they have 2, right? Dion and Josh, and the Ravens have like 9.
Yeah, I think doesn't that speak to the weapons around on a team to kind of. I mean, the Bills really could have 3, right?
I think it's a little bit crazy. McGovern got a lot of respect for being first alternate, I have to say. That means they think he's 3rd, which is pretty cool. Benford didn't even get alternate, which is just a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then James Cook, like, I don't know what to say to that. Like, yeah, his yards numbers are a little bit down, but he also has 15 touchdowns on the ground compared to 2 last year. So
yeah, look at the season he's had. It's unbelievable.
I'm just confused about how Mixon made it over him because Mixon really slowed down and wasn't as efficient as he was.
And
Jonathan
he was
Taylor
injured for a good chunk of the season.
He made it because he exploded a couple of weeks, but I mean, the highlight of Jonathan Taylor's freaking season was him dropping the damn ball in Denver and costing his team a game. So the hell.
Yeah, I remember that.
But whatever. That's the Pro Bowl for you. It's always a little bit weird, but I feel like my boy Jimbo got robbed. But we're off to better things. We're going to play we're going to be playing in New Orleans, not. I think it's in Orlando this year. That's what Josh Allen said to my boy.
Yeah,
Dion,
not in Orlando. So. Yeah, the Pro Bowl games. But yeah, I agree with you mostly for the offense. It's just keep your starters healthy. Hey, let's break that record of passing touchdowns to a different receiver as well.
Gilliam,
that'd be
my
awesome.
prediction right now.
Yep.
I predict
the most versatile fullback in the NFL, Reggie Gilliam. Let's go. I love that. I'm with you. I love that.
I'm predicting right now, a Frank Gore Jr. to Reggie Gilliam touchdown. They're gonna pitch it to Frank Gore and he's gonna throw it. Actually, I don't know if Frank Gore could be active because of all the Prescott things. So I'm gonna switch to Ty Johnson because I feel like Ty Johnson has a good arm.
Yeah,
you know, they keep calling him the Swiss Army knife. I think they pitch it to him. It's a throw it down the field, 20-yard touchdown to Gilliam.
I love it. I would love to see that. I also think, I mean, they're aware of it too. If you've seen any of the press conferences this week, they're aware of the record.
Oh yeah,
and they want to break it. So listen, that's another thing for me. That's another thing the offense needs to do. This Patriots defense, I mean, not really. I'm not. We literally talked about them 2 weeks ago.
Man.
There's nothing
I feel
special.
I feel like it's hard to talk about the game because the backups are playing, but I think offensively, you'd like to see this young offensive line. You know, you're going to see a lot of Cedric Van Pran Granger. Like, I love to see how him in an extended role, Alec Anderson, not really playing as a 6th offensive line, but playing in an extended role, Van DeMark, you know, Talon Grable. So yeah, I'd like to see like the young guys, whoever they are. I think it's going to be interesting to see who they call up tomorrow off practice squad because, I mean, those 2 guys I assume are going to play.
Right.
But some guys are already out. Like Davidson already has his. This is what I think an NFL rule should be changed. I think the NFL. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of cheap that you can't call up like 8 guys in the last week. Or like they already elevated them enough. I don't know. I don't know you want to take advantage of the situation, but I think week 18. I don't know. I feel like that should be kind of like a de facto playoffs where you could do whatever you want, calling people
Yeah.
up, because I think if that was the case, I think you'd see a lot of guys get called. I think you'd see pretty much every team. You pretty much see every practice squatter on the Bills get called up and rest a bunch of starters, right? But you can only rest so many guys. Like there's only what. I know Terrell Bernard's kind of banged up and he won't play, but then after that, there's only 6 other IR spots.
Yeah.
Right? There's only 6 other IR spots, excuse me, six other inactive spots. So you got to wonder who those are going to go to. And then you only have 2 practice squad elevations, and it's kind of like, well, you probably want, I think Mike White's only been called up twice. You probably want to call him up because it's like, if like Josh is going to do some stuff, but then Mitch is going to come in, and if Mitch somehow gets banged up, you kind of don't want to throw Josh back out there. Like, that'd be kind of dumb. So then you really only have one legit, you know what I'm saying? You only have really one legit practice squad spot for someone who's actually might play. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think I'd like to see Mike White get some reps either way. I honestly, for the future of the backup quarterback position in Buffalo.
I'd like to see Mitch get all those reps, to be honest.
You think?
Mike White can maybe play a little bit in the fourth quarter. I want to see Mitch get some extended reps because I think that's actually kind of important. Especially we've seen it already this season in the Houston game where Josh got banged up and Mitch had to come in for actually legit, not blowout reps. So I don't know. I think that is a key in offense. I want to see Mitch look good because, again, you never know in the playoffs. Josh could get banged up, and you might. I mean, look what happened with Chet Henne and Mahomes. Like Mahomes got banged up, missed the rest of the half, or missed the end of that Cleveland game, and he had to come in and execute, right? And he did. So I think that's actually important for the Bills. That's probably the number one thing for me for the Bills is Mitch looking good. Other than health. Obviously health, no question. That's undisputed, but...
Yeah, no, absolutely. So now looking, I guess, defensively, keep the starters healthy. You got to keep that defense healthy. The defensive line's been playing really well heading up to this point. They, like we said, lackluster start to the season. And Ed Oliver, one of the names that we've mentioned quite a few times, has really kind of been showing out the past couple of weeks. So give them a few reps, I would say. I don't know how long I want them out there specifically, but, let these defense, like Javon Solomon, I want to see extended reps from, like these guys, right? Dwayne Carter, I'd like to see some extended reps from. We've seen extended reps of Cole Bishop, and Balin Spector, I'm a little scared to see some extended reps of, honestly, after how he's played the past couple of weeks when Dory Williams went down and Matt Milano had that groin injury at the time. But either way, I think it's the similar story to the offense. You got to just let your starters kind of maybe play a few snaps, play a drive, so they stay warm, sit them, and then watch the young guys go. I mean, is there anyone else you can think of that you kind of want to see pop a little bit on the young guys side?
Actually, I think the defense is a little bit different from the offense, actually. Obviously, the stay healthy part I agree with, but I do actually think there's some kinks that they should try to work out a little bit. Like, I'm intrigued to see who's starting at safety, because DeMar hasn't played in a month, and I know he's banged up, and that's kind of risky. But if he's playing, if he's able to play, I want to see him play for a quarter or two or half, just to get some reps in, just to get some live reps in. And maybe if he's healthy, they still ride with Cole Bishop. I don't know. That spot kind of seems to be kind of a little bit up for grabs-ish. With opposite Taylor Rapp. So I'd like to see that a little bit, actually. And then the linebackers, I'd still like to see a little Milano. I don't know, a quarter.
Yeah, you got to keep him
series.
warm in a little bit.
I thought he looked pretty good last week, but again, we only have one game left to make this decision. I know Andreessen's going to play a lot because Bernard's out. And he looked pretty good last week as well. And then finally, I think the D tackles are kind of important. After Oliver and Daquan Jones, they've been rotating the other 4 in out, and they've been activating 3 of them and inactivating and benching 1. And I don't know if they've made a decision yet, or do they need this game to make another decision? So I like to see those 4 guys get a lot of run in this game. That's why I think at Oliver or Daquan Jones, I think they should be inactive. I think you kind of know those guys are your starters; they shouldn't play. Right. But, I think the 4 guys, Jordan Phillips, Quentin Jefferson, Dwayne Carter and Austin Johnson, like I think those four guys should play a lot and really get as many reps in and as possible to see who the best three out of those four are for the playoffs.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I like that a lot. So moving to, I guess, our normal things we do here, X Factor. I mean, I guess at this point, I'm gonna hop on the bandwagon here. I think Reggie Gilliam breaks that touchdown record. I think he's gonna maybe do some things in the fullback game, shove up the middle on some short plays, and I think it could get a little interesting. But it's just kind of tough to pick an X factor in a game that really doesn't. You're not trying to win necessarily, you know. I'm not saying I shouldn't say you're not trying to win, but you're not playing your best guys out there the whole time. You know, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm just gonna skip X Factor because I just don't like.
Yeah,
I
tried throwing
like,
one in there. It doesn't work.
Like, oh man, who's really gonna? I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm like, I don't know. I don't really feel like there's a super X Factor. I think you're just playing the game. Health, X Factor. Everyone stay healthy. Fingers crossed.
That's
but
it
the
right
MVP,
there.
I will say, I think the MVP of this game will be Andreessen, Big Joe, Buffalo Joe. I thought he played well in garbage time against the Jets. And he is now the backup middle linebacker behind Terrell Bernard with Balen Spector being on IR. So I think this is a massive opportunity. They just cut Nicholas Monroe for like the 5th time this season behind him.
Yeah,
so
they have.
I think this is a massive opportunity for him. These reps matter because these guys that are at the fringes of your roster, it's not just for this season. You're trying to make an imprint on not only your team, but the other 31 teams around the NFL to stick in. Like, there's a lot of guys that are on the edge of this roster that are like, I have to play well, and if I don't, like, if I have a really good game, like, this is really good tape and really good film for me to show, like, if I'm a free agent or I'm looking for a practice squad place, like, hey, this is my film from a Week 18 live NFL game. I mean, it's meaningful. I mean, it's an NFL game. So I do think these games matter, and I think Andreessen's going to show out a little bit for the boys.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of Andreessen since UB, right? I mean, Buffalo Joe. You said it yourself. We got a great look at him last week. What happened?
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
So I did say that this is actually really smart for the Bills. So I did say that they cut Nicholas Monroe. Mm-hmm. What they did is they signed Mike White from the practice squad to the active roster.
Oh, so they moved
don't have
him
to
to
waste
the
practice squad elevation on him. They could just have him active as anyone else, and that way, so they still have two practice. That was really smart. So they still have two practice squad elevations now. So I know now, like when we post this, like someone's going to call us an idiot for that conversation 10 minutes ago, but we did retcon it.
Yes, the canon has been fixed. So you have the right information. No, I'll go Andreessen too. I don't really know what to think other than. Like you said, meaningless game, but meaningful for some of these backups. And he's definitely one to put on tape. Because listen, as I mentioned earlier, Balen Spector has been very unimpressive to me in his tenure with the Bills, especially in the beginning of that Patriots game a couple weeks ago. That was just not a great look. And if Andreessen can prove that he's more versatile, better look in that direction for the backup middle linebacker, then yeah, I'm all for that. So Joe Andreessen, go have a day. Be the MVP. I like that a lot. So predictions at the end of the day. Bills are, again, 2.5-point favorites in many markets. 2 in some markets. Predictions for this game. I think it's going to be, there's got to be a touchdown for Buffalo because I'm rooting for the record to be broken with a different receiver. But give me the Bills 17 and the Patriots 10. I think it's just a very low scoring.
I have a similar score. I have Buffalo 18. New England 17. I believe that Mike White will lead a touchdown drive down 17-10, and the Bills aren't going to play for overtime. They're going to play for 2 in the win. And he's going to John Elway helicopter into the end zone to win the game for the Bills. 18-17.
Oh, my God. All right, I love it. So now, a quick thought, real quick before we wrap up, because I know timing-wise we're at our normal amount here, but opponents for the AFC playoffs, right? 7 seed, still up for grabs coming into Week 18. It's kind of a race. So Denver, Miami, and the Bengals. Denver, it's either those 3 teams lose altogether, they're in, or it's a simple win against Kansas City, sitting all their starters, and you're in. So Denver clearly has the easiest route. Then the Dolphins, you have to see they have to win, and then the Broncos have to lose. So they're probably the second easiest. Then the Bengals, they've got the toughest road. Both Denver and Miami have to lose, and they have to win against Pittsburgh, a divisional opponent, who that could get a little interesting. But what do you think? What are your who do you want to play? A lot of Bills fans, funnily enough, saying Miami. I shy away from the divisional opponent 3 times a year because that hasn't happened successfully.
I would personally, in order of who I want to play, would probably be Denver, Cincinnati, Miami.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm making this caveat. It's Tua's Miami. I mean, if you're telling me Snoop Huntley is playing, they go up to the top of the list. But I don't know. I don't want to play them again because, listen, I've always been this way. I know the Bills are 2-0 in the wild card round against the division. Like, they've beaten Miami, they've beaten New England. But it's after they split the regular season. It's really hard to beat a team 3 times, right? And I think we made it really good. And that always usually is the case. They know you so well. So I hate that. I just do. That makes me a little anxious. But again, maybe the cold is supposed to be really chilly, so maybe you think that's a huge advantage for the Bills, which it probably is. So, but they're lower. Cincinnati, like, listen, Burrow and their offense scares the crap out of me. I'm not going to completely lie about that, especially with how their defense has been playing.
Yeah.
But their defense is really bad, and we have Josh F. and Allen, so I still feel pretty confident that we could beat them. I should. I mean, we think the Bills could win the Super Bowl. They should be able to beat Cincinnati at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then finally, Denver is probably the team I want to play the most, just because, listen, Denver has a good defense. Really respect their defense, and they do a lot of quick game, which the Bills kind of struggle with, but Denver can't run the ball. Like, Denver has a good offensive line, but they, for a reason, just cannot run the ball. And you're playing a rookie quarterback. And I feel like Denver's defense is good. I'm not discrediting their defense, but I also just saw Joe Burrow kind of let them up. And I know it's because they have TST against and Ja'Marr Chase, and we don't have that, but I don't know. I also kind of just feel like Josh Allen's Josh Allen. We saw Herbert light them up a little bit, and he's an elite quarterback. So, again, I like Denver the most. I think Denver's going to get it done. Listen, I would be a little bit more concerned about Denver winning if the game was in Arrowhead, even with the Chiefs backups, but it's in Denver. It's in Mile High. I don't think Winston's going to be as bad. I don't know how they're a 10.5-point dog. Like, I would take the Chiefs spread because I just don't think they're going to get blown out. But I don't know. The Chiefs are going to arrest a bunch of players, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Denver gets it done, but yeah, we'll see. If Miami has to play the Jets, I don't know. I just what Jets.
That's another divisional game, though, right?
I think the weather's supposed to be pretty cold in New York. I think Rodgers is going to want to go out on a high note. They got embarrassed last week. Mm-hmm. Maybe they bounce back a little bit. Snoop Huntley, like, they won, but like the DTR from the Browns is just a terrible offense. So I don't really know what to make of that. And then finally, like the Bengals, I don't even know if the Bengals beat the Steelers, dude. Like, they had to go on the road to Pittsburgh.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah,
like, I think
and it's a divisional game.
Just lose that game. Like, to be honest,
no,
like they already lost at home to Pittsburgh. Like,
especially because Pittsburgh is still playing for the North title, right?
There's a real chance all 3 of those teams in the wild card lose.
Yeah,
and then just gets in off luck. I should say off luck. That's kind of a crappy thing to say, but you know what I'm saying.
But yeah, Denver just gets in because of their record still at that point. So yeah, I think there's a few good avenues. Like I said, divisional opponent 3 times a year, absolutely not. You made a good point though. Snoop Huntley, that's different than Tua Tagovailoa is at the quarterback. So really, the Bengals, their offense is the scary part. Like you said, defense. They can play on and off, but give me the Broncos. Give me a rookie quarterback in Buffalo, Highmark Stadium, in January in freezing temperatures. Arctic air coming in. Did you see the weather reports? Arctic air coming in. So it's going to be nice and cold for those quarterbacks to have to come play in Buffalo. So we're in for a good treat. This is the last week of a nothing burger, and then we're in it. So looking forward to it. But Dom, anything else before we wrap it up here?
No, go Bills. And well, I don't know how much time we're going to spend recapping the Bills
this game
next week because it's going to be kind of meaningless, but it's playoff time. It's playoff time. Come on now.
Yes.
Waiting all year. Well, it's been 3 days, but all football season for this moment.
Yes. No, we have. I mean, we say it every year when we start these. Betting on the Bills week 1, it's going to go by like that, and it did. We're in the playoffs, and Who knows how many of these episodes we have left? We're on a limited snap count at this point. Only a few more, and hopefully there are 3. Right? Would that be the right amount? Am I counting correctly? Yeah, this
4?
is this week. That'd be 4. Technically, Super Bowl.
I don't
one
think
would
we're
be
gonna
4.
do one during Pro Bowl week. So 4.
Hell no, absolutely
Yeah.
not. We're not doing that. Yeah, no. Who's gonna push the weights the fastest furthest? I wonder who the MVP is gonna be there.
We should do it now. 5. We should just do it. No, we're doing it now.
Oh my god, just a satire, just to put it out there. Oh, jeez. Well, without further ado, we'll talk about that. We'll get you a programming note on that next time. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Buffalonian Podcast, Betting on the Bills. 2025, Week 18. We're at the end. We're at the finish line of the regular season. Dom, how do we always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.